really, really good to have you with us here, James. Obviously, we kind of heard from Shelley earlier, but we've got sort of 40 people tuned in. It might be worth kind of giving everybody kind of an intro to who you are and kind of what the mission is for.
Yeah, so hi everyone. I'm James Fairbairn, as everyone's to. I'm the Business Development Manager at AeroSpace Cornwall, and we're an R&D funds here in Cornwall. But I'm particularly interested in the tech sector anyway. It's my background, so I'm just really keen to see if we can do more with Software Cornwall members, to be honest. So what I'm going to do is go through a bit of a presentation on, it's a fairly stock presentation, but then hopefully there'll be questions at the end about what our fund is and all the things you can get out of it. So here we go. Cool. So you should be able to see my screen now, which is great. Wrong screen, I'm seeing. Yeah, so we go. So AeroSpace Cornwall is a ERDF, so European funded program to develop the aerospace and space clusters in Cornwall. And that's got to be clear, this is not about people who sell parts that go on Airbus or Boeing. It's about using space data, satellite data, the supply chain for space or aerospace, or development of drones, so UAVs, and also machine learning and AI, which is a particular interest for us. So we've been going for about 4 years now. We've worked with quite a few businesses, and we're just keen to see the sector continue to grow. So quickly to the nuts and bolts of what AeroSpace Cornwall do. It's, we've tried to make it quite transparent and easy for people to get through. First off, we help people understand the market opportunity. So if you've got an idea that could be used, sold to the aerospace or space sectors, or an idea that happens to use GPS or satellite data, we've got fully funded grants up to 10K for some market research of this new idea. We also have up to 10K fully funded grants for market diversification. So if you currently have products that you are selling to, say, the construction sector, and you think that it could be used in the aerospace or space sectors, we can help cover the costs for you to demonstrate in that market. And then for the logic would be, once you've demonstrated it, if you find out that actually your product is completely fit for purpose for the aerospace space sectors, great, you can continue to sell it into that market. If it turns out there's specific tweaks that need to happen, then our R&D funding can help you develop it further, which then leads into the R&D funding piece in the middle about developing the product. R&D funds, which most of the guys who were presented earlier have all been through or are going through, is for projects up to 100,000, well, average of £100,000 at 50% match. For those who understand the technical readiness levels, they're standard created by NASA about product development. So we're 4 to 7, so it's past the idea being made. It's that developing the actual product. We really like collaborations, ideally with universities or research. It doesn't have to be. If you want to just do your development on your own, that's fine. It's something we'd like to encourage. And then we've got the piece, once you develop product, we're really keen to make sure that the product actually gets to market, that you guys have invested in the product development. We've obviously put some money into it as well. We want to make sure someone buys it at the end and it's you get a return on your investment. So we do things like we can help with, if you need a particular certification to be able to sell, if you need some IP advice, some legal advice, some tax credit advice, we're here to help with that. We also do help with some business development and market promotion through events and trade shows and PR as well. So we're really keen to make sure that any investment that you and we make leads to actually a product that's actually being sold at the end of it. And not, because it would be really sad actually, the work everyone does, and then it doesn't actually make any money and it just doesn't get off the shelf. So I just want to put a quick slide on some of the unlocking the market stuff that might be of interest, because there's quite a lot we do. The ones I thought would be interesting for this audience are AS9100, which is like ISO 9001 for the aerospace and space sector. So basically, if you go AS9100, you'll get ISO 9001 as well. A lot of businesses require this. I know the automotive and medical sectors also recognise the AS9100. So this is a standard you may want to go through. We do the R&D tax credit advice. Oh, sorry, the AS9100 is up to 100 hours worth of consultancy for that. You've got R&D tax credit advice, and we do legal support through Foot Amnesty, and that's up to 30 hours for those guys. That'd be like patent searches, NDAs, strategic advice around your product development. And then the fourth one is the government G-Cloud platform. So if you are looking to sell to the public sector through the government procurement platform, you need to be registered on the G-Cloud. It's an annual renewal process you have to go to. The G-Cloud 13 is about to be released. It's an application you have to do. We've got some advisors who can help you, help best position you to be approved. They can't guarantee you're going to be approved for the G-Cloud, but it's a good positioning for it. So yeah, so hopefully that will be of interest. And then, so the next one is probably the bit that's quite interesting. So this is the bit I wanted to talk to you guys about today. It kind of is expanding on our market research grants we talked about already, which is fully funded 10K. What we're trying to grow, as you heard earlier, we're trying to grow the space and aerospace sectors, particularly the space capability in Cornwall around artificial intelligence, because it leads with Cornwall's new local industrial strategy. Goonhilly have invested heavily through the high performance compute, which obviously Tony's mentioned that he's doing some work with those guys for as well. They've created a Space AI Institute down at Goonhilly, and that's in partnership with Oxford University, Herts University, NVIDIA, HPE, and others. And so we really want to see you guys to be able to make the most of that capability. I believe there's some data scientists that may be able to get involved here as well. So these fully funded 10K grants would be for you to use the equipment down there, use the wider knowledge of the Space AI Institute to develop a product idea. And we're particularly interested in areas of tourism, agriculture, mining, marine, as well as digital twins. And digital twins is a bit of a buzzword at the moment. There's quite a few of those ideas coming around, but it makes such sense, particularly if you're looking to develop into, people want to develop into space or aerospace. And extreme environments need to test, and physical tests are really expensive. A digital twin solution is such a cost-effective way of lowering the cost of entering into space. So really interested to see if there's any ideas about that. So that's the kind of new announcement. It's up to 10K. Please, if you'd like to know more, let me know. The next step literally is quite, it's really open. There will be a workshop next month, which will be a virtual one. It will be with Goonhilly and myself and anyone else that's interested in getting involved. And we're basically going to see how we can take any of these ideas forward, and we'll go through the process of actually you would access the Space AI Data Centre. This is a fully funded grant for you, the business. So for you to spend with whoever you choose. We're just recommending that the Goonhilly Space AI Data Centre capability is really exciting at this time. So yeah, if you want to find out more, please get in touch. There's my contact details. Quick say, there's 6 of us in the team, or it's actually there's actually 7 now, but there's 6 of us. If you know other people in the team other than me, please get in touch with any of us. We've tried to make the team really accommodating and friendly for the business. We've got 2 project managers to help you through the process. We've got a grants claims officer to help you get the money back as quickly as possible. So hopefully you have a really good experience and you have some really good time playing with the Space AI Institute and come up with some great ideas at the end of it. So that's kind of me. It's not too much to say really, because obviously the good stuff was all the conversations that people have had earlier today about what they've developed. I just really wanted to give you a chance to know more about what we're doing. So thank you very much.
Brilliant. Thanks so much, James. That's really, really good. And I think from that perspective, and given the companies we've heard from today, it's kind of worth saying that this really is quite broad. And conversation we've had before is when you think AeroSpace Cornwall, you think, oh, I have to fit into the aerospace box, and actually that's not the case at all. And you mentioned those 5 kind of industries of agri-tech and tourism. You mentioned mining, marine, and digital twins as well. And just from the range of companies I think we've heard from today, I think it's worth saying, if you're not sure, but you've got an idea, even at that stage, it's worth a conversation with James or one of the team to just see if grant funding is available to you and whether it's worth exploring.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, as you sort of state, Exbotics are the only out-and-out space business. Everyone else is using space technology or using the ability to sell into the aerospace and space sector. So yeah, really keen to hear more if anyone's, and also if anyone's just interested in finding more about the Goonhilly Space AI Institute, when we can have a workshop next month to explore that further.
Yeah, sounds really good. So if there are any questions, this is sort of a fairly informal session, so you can either pop some questions in the Q&A for James, or if you want to come on, like join us, come and have a chat. This will turn into kind of a bit of a just a chat space, really, just to provide forum to ask James any questions, or if you want to discuss your idea now, if actually your brain's popping after hearing some of those companies talk. Share your screen, share your camera, and come and have a chat to James, and yeah, it'd just be interesting if anyone's out there listening and wondering if their idea might be worth a chat. See if anyone's brave enough to come online.
Oh, I know. But it's really good talk today. Even though I know all the business that spoke today, it's still really interesting to re-hear what they've been doing. So yeah, really interesting. It's great to see a few ideas between the two different companies that were presenting as well. That was quite nice.
Yeah, it's really good. And what would be interesting, and we do this frequently, and even in the last Tech Connect we did, we had companies kind of pitching who are very early stage startups with ideas and are sort of developing those. And we almost want to do this again in 6 months and kind of repeat some of our events and say, okay, brilliant. And particularly those who had the funding, I'd love to see the output. What did you create? What were the results, and how did that go? And there's something from Matt Exley from Tech Nation in the chat. So he's asked, what channels are open to allow collaboration with others beyond Cornwall? UK-wide or international? The space community is small. How can we work to ensure it's connected?
Well, yeah, so we do quite a lot of work connecting with other areas, particularly in the space sector. So there's other space clusters around the UK. So my colleague Gail, that's particular focus is networking with other regions and business communities to basically try and link everyone up. Our funding as well has to be for a Cornish entity or someone who is having a meaningful presence in Cornwall. So it could be a business outside of Cornwall but wants to do some meaningful activity in Cornwall. So we are happy to look at, so potentially if there's someone outside of Cornwall that wants to do some development and can partner with someone in Cornwall, then we can still make this work. So and that's a really good way of trying to connect up with other regions around the outside of Cornwall. And and we do get out quite a bit. So because the space sector's got quite a lot of coverage at the moment, we do go to events and get quite a lot of interest. It is amazing that obviously Cornwall is known for being pasties and surfing and tourism, which is really good. But also when you go out about, people still are now starting to hear about the space technology side as well, which is just interesting, really, isn't it? So
yeah, and I think it's going to be hot on the agenda for the G7 as well.
Yes, no, definitely, yeah, it's on that, yeah.
Perfect. Okay, how long is the sort of process of going through that funding? So if I'm maybe someone kind of pre-starts sort of thinking with an idea and actually thinking, okay, because you mentioned the kind of research grant of just even sort of scoping out the market, how long does that sort of process take?
Yeah, well, ideally our process isn't too long. We have like all the RDF programs, we have an eligibility piece where I have to find out that you're actually a Cornish SME or Cornish business. That's normally turned around about a week. And but at the same time, in parallel to do that, we'll do working with the business to understand what they want to do. With the specific piece around the Goonhilly, that may take a bit longer because if people have got to come up with the idea, but end to end, probably about 2 months in terms of getting it all signed off and ready to go.
Great. Okay. So fairly efficient, really, in the grand scheme of getting access to funding.
Yeah. Well, yes. Yeah. Yeah. We've definitely learned that we need to be quicker at getting people through the process and try and take away all the administration as much as possible.
Yeah. It's always that holds it back. No, it's really, really great. Tony's popped a comment in here. I would like to say that the process of engaging with AeroSpace Cornwall was simple, straightforward, and made an enjoyable experience by the project managers and staff. I would really recommend anyone thinking.
Oh, there we go. Thanks, Tony.
So Shelley will be copying and pasting that and popping that on a website, no doubt. But thanks, Tony. That's really, really nice feedback. Question from Paul Clark. Is there a channel for development or tech partners who may not have their own products, but could help to deliver them for others? Interesting question.
Yes. Well, it's not a dedicated channel, but when people come to speak to me and my colleagues, we generally try and do collaboration. So if someone wants to develop someone but needs other capabilities, we will try in another Cornish business as in that supply chain effectively. So we do try and do that. I mean, so we do like to keep in touch with what other capabilities in Cornwall. We don't actually have a database, but I do keep in touch with what most of Software Cornwall members do to try and make sure it's in my head about what everyone is capable of doing.
Yeah. Brilliant. And certainly.
But if anyone wants to send me, exactly the capability that's more than what they've already got, yeah, please do.
Yeah, brilliant. Robert, you've joined us. Brave enough to share the camera. Have you got a question then for James?
Yeah, I work for Beckhoff, which is a controls company, and I work with the high value manufacturing catapults, aerospace, and also look after the Southwest for the company I work for. When organizations are going through that TRL level, especially the valley of death as they refer to, which is 3 through to 7, a lot of the times they need access to a lot of manufacturing sort of software so that they can build that prototype, that small example of how their product will work and how there's got a capability of productionizing that for a wider market. It's got to be scalable. It's got to be able to reach those economies of scale. How do you engage with that type of element of the industry? So you might have somebody who's got a great idea, they've manifested it through the lower TRL levels. Now they're going to try and say, okay, we've got to get this into some sort of prototype, and then when it goes from the 7 through to the 9, this is when you're going to market with it. How are you engaging with that sort of like making?
Well, so as part of I'm more on the actual full R&D application for the bigger projects. As part of it, we make sure that we try and make sure that the business needs everything they do, and if they don't have the testing capabilities and they want to use someone else's, we've been in touch with like the National Composite Centre quite a bit, but also the team in Coventry as well. So we are definitely connected, and it's mainly driven by what the R&D project and what the business is, rather than me just sending everyone to a particular catapult. It's more about what the opportunity comes through, and then I try and send them to the right place at the right time. I also do try and look to see if there's local business community down here that has the capability. So, or the universities down here also have their equipment as well. But yeah, we try and put people give people as many options so they can then pick the right place for them to go. Well, and then we're agnostic about where people go to do their testing. It's really up to the business to decide what they want to do, and then we'll part fund it.
Yeah, okay. Because part of my role is also then to transfer knowledge into or derive innovation through control systems, AI, make sure that companies are capable of making themselves competitive downstream. And that's really where I wanted to sort of throw that out there, because I'd be interested to talk to anybody that was wanting to try and upskill themselves so that they can adopt a modernized manufacturing capability, AI, digital twins, all of those type of characteristics. So yeah, just wanted to throw that out there.
That's very interesting, actually. There's also obviously the manufacturing side, the Cornwall Manufacturing Group as well. But there is starting to be a bit of a crossover between Software Cornwall and the Cornwall Manufacturing Group, because a good example is Bluefruit. Obviously, they're developing embedded software, which then is used by the manufacturers. So there's definitely a crossover now.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, well, thank you for that.
Thanks, Robert. Yeah, that crossover is really interesting, and even for Software Cornwall, because similar to you, the whole point is it's a network and for people to find the solutions and connect with each other. But we don't favour any particular company or anything. We're fairly agnostic, and it's about providing the tools like the Slack community and ways where people can find and connect with each other. And as tech has grown in Cornwall over the last 10 years, and manufacturing is scaling as well. And I had a conversation with a member in the last couple of weeks who, they would do everything and export all the stuff that they manufacture in Cornwall, and obviously with Brexit they've pivoted and actually now want to do more work in the UK. And there's a lot being built in Cornwall, and we're just not hearing about it, but actually it's starting to come out of the woodwork. And certainly in manufacturing it's a growing industry, as is tech. So there's definitely some crossover there.
Yeah, I'd agree. So yes, yeah.
Brilliant. Any other questions then for James while we're on? Anyone else brave enough to come and join us, as Robert has? There's nothing else in the Q&A. We're going to do sort of half finish at 3 o'clock, because I'm very aware people have got things like school runs and things now that everyone is sort of drifting back to normal. But I will pop a link. We've got a feedback form that we'd just love those that are watching just to share your thoughts with us, really. We're always trying to make these events as engaging as possible. I'm just going to pop that in the chat for you. But your feedback always really, really helps. Anything on the platform, did you like hop in to your favourite talks, feedback for us, so we can kind of make those improvements. So I've put a link in the chat, and so if you want to head over there and complete that would be wonderful. It'll only take you a few minutes. But if there are no other questions, I'm going to sort of hang around and just see if anyone wants to sort of jump in and out. But James, is there anything else you want to add at this stage?
No. But just it's been a really good session. Really enjoyed it actually. It's worked really well. Do like the way they hop in, move around between sessions and stuff. It's quite a nice way of doing it. So yeah, it's a really good platform. I like it.
Yeah, we did a bit of a survey at the January Tech Connect and kind of asked around, and people seem to sort of use Zoom or hop in as their platform. So we thought we'd switch between them and see how it went. It works particularly well when the presenter at the beginning sends people to the right place.
I know, I did get a bit confused at that point. Like, what?
Very huge apologies from me if anyone went into the wrong room and poor old Tony Builder was sat quietly thinking, no, it's not me next. And actually it was Exobotics. So apologies for that, team. That was entirely my fault. And I will take the abuse that will come into the feedback forms on that. Brilliant. Well, Shelley's popped some contact details there just in the chat for anyone who wants to find out more about the funding. You may want to have a chat offline. That's absolutely fine. It might be worth, Shelley, if you're listening, popping a link to James's LinkedIn and your own LinkedIn as well. Yeah, just LinkedIn is such a great platform to kind of connect. And
come join us, Shelley, if you want.
Yeah, come and say hi, Shelley. Hiding in the back end there. Yeah, but that was really, really interesting. Neil's popped in. Hey, there she is.
There you go, Shelley.
I'm just looking for James's LinkedIn feed and mine. So yeah, I'll pop them in there.
Excellent. Wonderful. And Neil's popped a comment in there. Really interesting to hear about the collaboration. Thanks for the info, James. We'd be really keen to collaborate with the service we provide as well, so that they'll be in touch as well. So Neil. Cool. Shelley is very helpful. Put LinkedIn details in there. Big thanks, Lisa, for joining. Thank you, Tech Connect. Lovely, brilliant. So glad everybody enjoyed it. Like I said, I'm just going to stay on for a few minutes, but yeah, big thank you for everyone for joining us today, and thank you to AeroSpace Cornwall, our hosts and sponsors, and all of the speakers, all the sessions, and the companies that have spoken to you today. It's been really brilliant. So this session is recorded, and we will make it available after this. So if you want to share it with colleagues or rewatch any bits or see what it was about, we will make that available to you all as well, and there'll be an email following up with that. So big thank you, everyone. James and I'll stay on for another 5 minutes with Shelley as well. If anyone wants to pop in and ask us a question without sort of the crowd watching, you're welcome to do so. But yeah, big thank you, and we'll see you all again very soon. That's nice seeing all the comments in. I'm sure we do these sorts of events quarterly, so I think it'll probably be, where are we now? April, May, July. It'll be the summer, I think we'll do another one.
Do you think it'll be in person or virtual?
Oh yeah, are you thinking face-to-face, Nikki, for the next one?
Yes, it's kind of why I think we'll pencil a date and then just see what the world looks like at that point. Yeah, ideally face-to-face would be amazing.
We're going to the Spacecom Expo at the beginning of July. Is that something, are you guys attending that or?
I'm not sure, but yeah, it sounds like it might be right up our street and definitely something the members might be interested in.
Okay, yeah, we're attending. We have a stand presence there, so we're just busy making that happen at the moment. Yeah.
Brilliant.
So,
in person?
Sorry? It'll be in person, yeah, and we're there. We're representing Cornwall, obviously Cornwall Space and Goonhilly and Spaceport Cornwall, and some other businesses that we have on programme. Currently, I think Exobotics are attending, and the others yet to be decided. So,
well, Touchbite will be one. There's two more still to be confirmed. Yeah.
Fantastic. And when is that? So that's in July. Whereabouts?
It's in Farnborough, at the conference centre in Farnborough, but not using the whole of the conference centre, just a section of it. And it's the 7th and 8th of July.
Excellent. Good. Oh, there goes my dog. That'll be the postman. I'm just going to mute myself for a second. Okay, sorry about that.
So Nikki, thank you so much for putting this event on. I think it was pretty effective, and I'm confident that we'll have some inquiries after that. And even if we don't having inquiries. I just think obviously people are interested in all of what the businesses had to say. So from that perspective, it was great to find out what's actually happening in Cornwall and what other businesses are working on. So yeah, from that perspective, I think it was really useful. And hopefully our inbox will fill up with some inquiries, particularly about the Goonhilly data centre voucher. So
yeah, that would be great. I think what we'll do is if there's information on that, we'll pop that on the Software Cornwall website, and it'll kind of pin panels and just put it out there as well.
If I send you James's PowerPoint, and then I think the last couple of slides are about the event and about the offer, so that could work quite well as a visual.
Brilliant. Yeah, more than happy. Sounds good. Right. All right. A couple more comments. Matt, late to the party. Don't worry at all, Matt. He gives the heads up. All good. But yeah, it looks like there's a lot of joy for the event. It went well. Matt, I'll share my enthusiasm for the wider space sector and keen to help champion Cornwall and help digital businesses consider how they can work on space projects. He's banging the drum within Tech Nation. So Matt from Tech Nation is a real advocate for what's going on in Cornwall in the Southwest, and his face pops up on a lot of the national kind of events that I'm watching. So he's definitely there kind of helping to fly the flag for Cornwall, and yeah, he's doing a brilliant job in kind of raising the awareness and just sharing our messages as well. So and like I say, to anyone kind of watching members wise, tell us what you're working on, give us your case studies, get your news on the website, because we can just help amplify those through channels like Tech Nation and Tech Southwest and all the other partners kind of we work with. And but we don't know what you're working on unless you tell us. So do use those channels, because we're getting lots of requests for case studies, particularly with the G7 pending. So if you can fire those our way, then we'll make sure they're seen by the right people, and hope you get everybody a nice bit of PR as well on the back of it. Brilliant. Right, it's 2 minutes to 3. I'm going to wrap up there. So I know everyone's got to shoot off for various school runs. So, but big thank you again, James and Shelley. Really appreciate you both joining. And contact details are in the chat for anybody who wants to get in touch with AeroSpace Cornwall and find out more. But I'll wrap it up there. Say big thanks, and we'll see you all again at the next event.
Okay. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye. Bye.